In this video, I will explain measure of information, measure of information. First one, information sources. Information sources. An information source may be viewed as an object which produces an event. An information source. An information source may be viewed as an object which produces an event. The outcome of which is selected at randomly according to the probability of distribution. The outcome of which is selected, at randomly according to a probability of distribution. Probability of distribution. An information source may be viewed as an object which produces an event. Event is nothing but generates some symbols. The occurrence of that symbols depends on the probability of occurrence of such symbols. The outcome of which is selected at randomly according to a probability of distribution. Generally, a practical source in a communication system is a device which produces messages, and it can be either analog or discrete. This is a information source. This one is information source, produces two types of messages, either analog message or discrete messages. Analog messages, discrete messages. Examples of the analog messages: radio waves, television waves, or sound waves. Generally, an analog signal is a voltage or current or a physical quantity that continuously and infinitely varies according with some time varying parameters. Examples of analog signals are radio waves, electromagnetic waves, television waves, or sound waves. Next one, discrete. An analog source can be transformed to a discrete source through the use of sampling and quantization techniques. Analog, this one is a analog source, can be converted into discrete source. Analog source can be converted in discrete source through a sampling and quantization techniques. Sampling and quantization. These concepts are studied in digital communications. Coming to discrete messages. Discrete information source. This one is discrete This one is a discrete information source. The output of a discrete information source is a message This one is message that consists of a sequence of symbols. The message consists of sequence of symbols or letters. Two types of discrete information sources are there: memoryless source and memoryless source and memory source. Finally, a discrete information source generates a sequence of symbols or letters, which are nothing but messages. First one, a memoryless source is one which each symbol produced is independent of the previous symbol. A memoryless source is one which for which each symbol produced is independent. Each symbol produced is independent of the previous symbol. Next, coming to memory source. A source with memory is one which a current symbol depends on the previous symbol. A current symbol generation, a current symbol generation depends on the previous symbol. Generally, two types of sources are there: analog information source and a discrete information source. Analog information source generates analog signals. Examples of that analog signals are radio waves, sound waves, television waves, etc. In that case, the magnitude and either the magnitude or nothing but either voltage or current or any physical parameters variation with respect to time. It belongs to these analog sources or analog signals. These analog signals are converted into discrete signals by using a quantization sampling process and quantization process. Coming to a discrete information source, generate some messages. These messages are consist of a sequence of symbols or letters. Two types of discrete information sources are there: memoryless source and memory source. In memoryless source, each symbol produced is independent of the previous symbol. In case of memory source, a source with memory, that is called as memory source. A current symbol generation depends on the previous symbol generation. This is the information related source information sources contents. Coming to information content of a message. Information content of a message. Consider a discrete information source. This one is a discrete information source. This is a discrete information source generates messages or events. Messages or events. These messages or events consist of a sequence of symbols. Consists of a sequence of symbols. Suppose the events that occurs with low probability carries more information than the event with large probabilities. No doubt discrete information generates messages or events. Totally in digital communication, information source generates some messages. These messages generation depends on probability of occurrence of such messages. The event that occur, the event that occurs with low probability, carries more information. Carries more information. Example is example. The important example is there is some uncertainty in the occurrence of event. That is uncertainty occurrence of in a desert. There would be a cyclone with a thunderstorm in deserts. That is not possible. That is not possible. Some uncertainty is there. Example. The event that occurs with low probability carries more information. Consider an example. In a desert, there would be a cyclone with thunderstorm. With the thunderstorm. This is the message generated by the discrete information source. Generally, in deserts, it would be hot and sunny, but there would be a cyclone with thunderstorm. Some uncertainty is there. It is not clear. Generally, it is not rarely occurred event. Rarely occurred event carries more information. Probability of occurrence of such an event is very less. Suppose P tends to 0. Probability of occurrence of such an event, P tends to 0. I tends to infinity. In desert, there would be a cyclone with thunderstorm. Some uncertainty is there, not clear one. It is the rarely occurred event. The probability of occurrence of such an event is 0. Therefore, it carries more information. This one is called a surprising event. Next one is another important one is an event that occurs with the low probabilities carries more information than the event with the large probability. Second one, an event that occurs with high probability carries less information. This one is the second event produced by the discrete information source. The source of symbols or letters are also there. In that case, example is the sun rises. The sun rises in the east. In the east. This event, not surprising event, truly occurred event. There is no ambiguity present in that event, clear event. Therefore, probability of occurrence of such an event is 1. P tends to 1. Therefore, information carried by such an event is 0. Such an event is 0. The discrete information source generates two types of events. More uncertainty of the events, more is the information content in the occurrence of the event. More uncertainty. That is, more uncertainty means in desert, there would be a cyclone with thunderstorm. That is rarely occurred event. Some uncertainty is there. More uncertainty of the event is more is the information content. More is the information content. Finally, the important point here is the amount of information, the amount of information received, the amount of information received from the knowledge of occurrence of an event is related to the probability, is related to the probability or the likelihood of occurrence of the event. Occurrence of the event. The amount of information received from the knowledge of occurrence of an event. Knowledge of occurrence of an event. Suppose the sun rises in the east. True event. This is truly occurred event. It carries that event carries less information because the probability of occurrence of such an event is more. That means P tends to 1. The information carried by such an event is 0. Second one is in desert there would be some cyclone with thunderstorm. That is some unambiguity is there. Ambiguity is there. Uncertainty is there. Uncertainty is there. Therefore, probability of occurrence of such an event is 0, and information carried of such an event is more. Therefore, the amount of information received for the knowledge of occurrence of an event. Knowledge of occurrence of an event is related to the probability or the likelihood of occurrence of the event. From this analysis, the amount of information I is equal to formula is log 1 by P base B. The unit of information I is suppose the unit of information I is the bit, B is equal to 2. The unit of information I is Hartley or Decit if B is equal to 10. B is equal to 10. The unit of information I is net. Net, that means natural unit. Natural unit. If B is equal to E. Finally, we use amount of information carried or the information content or the amount of information carried by such symbol or letter is I is equal to log 1 by P base 2, where P is called as a probability of occurrence of such an event. If B is equal to 2, the unit is bit. The unit is bit. Next one. Next one. Suppose an information source emits. Suppose this one, an information source. Information source X, capital X, emits I possible messages. Emits I possible messages represented as M1, comma M2, and so on and so forth, and Mi. The probabilities of occurrences of such messages are P1, comma P2, and so on and so forth, PA. According to probability theory, sum of the probability of occurrences of such a messages are equal to 1. P1 plus P2 plus and so on and so forth. PA is equal to 1. Suppose consider kth message. Consider kth message in middle. Suppose an information source generates Q messages. Q messages like that. Consider kth message. Kth message. Find out the information content of that information content of the kth message or the amount of information in the kth message. That means MK. MK. The information content. The information content. The information content are the amount of information in the kth message. In the kth message denoted by IF MK must be related to PK. The probability of occurrence of that kth message MK is PK. The probability of occurrence of such a kth message is PK. Therefore, IK is equal to log 1 by PK base 2 bit. The information content or the amount of information in the message must be non-negative. The information properties. The information content. The information content. That means IF MK must be non-negative. must be non-negative since each message contains some information. Each message contains some information. Two messages are there, MK and MJ. Two messages. The information content or the amount of information in the kth message is IFMK. Jth message is IF MJ. One more important property is the information content of the kth message IFMK is greater than the information content of the jth message when if probability of occurrence of that such a kth message PK is less than the probability of occurrence of that jth message. One more important is the information content of that kth message tends to 0 as when this information is 0, probability of occurrence of such a message is 1. Probability of occurrence of such a message is 1. That means the sun rises in the east. Truly occurred event. The probability of occurrence of such an event is 1. Therefore, the information content of such an event is 0. Or the amount of information in that kth message is 0. That means IF MK is equal to log 1 by PK base to bit log 1 by 1 base to that is equal to bit that is equal to 0. Next one IF MK kth message information, the amount of information or the information content of that kth message or the amount of information in the kth message is greater than or equal to 0 when the probability of occurrence of such a message MK lies in between when PK is equal to 1, IF MK is 0. When PK is greater than 0 or PK is equal to 0, IF MK is infinity. IF MK is infinity. These are the some important points related to information, amount of information, measure of information. Important points are P tends to 1, I tends to 0, P tends to 0, I tends to infinity. I is equal to log 1 by P base to bit log when P is equal to 1, 1 by 1 bit that is equal to 0. I is equal to log 1 by P base to bit that is equal to log when P tends to 0, 1 by 0, 1 by 0 is infinity log infinity to base 2 that is equal to infinity. This is the information related to information source and measure of information.